everyone, welcome back to another reaction video. So I am doing something different. One, I do have my friend here, Miss Denise. Usually y'all see her on here when I'm doing like a podcast, and we are going to be doing some more podcasts in the near future. But she's going to help me out in introducing a new mom to my channel. Some of you are very much aware of who this mom is. She definitely have taken off on TikTok, but now she is venturing onto YouTube. And there is definitely a lot going on with this mother. This is Resilient Jenkins. And I wanted to invite my friend on here because actually she was the one who introduced me to her. And she was like, you have got to check this mother out. It is a lot going on. So I started watching and I was just like, oh my gosh, there is definitely a lot, and there is definitely a lot unfolding now. And so I definitely want to bring the story onto this platform because I think it's very relevant to a lot of the things that we've already been talking about. But I think a lot of you guys will find this very interesting to see what is happening and how things are really playing out. So, like I said, my friend introduced me to this family. I wanted to invite her on here because she has so much more information that she can add to the backstory, because this video is like an introduction to get everybody up to speed on who this woman is, her family, how she started out on TikTok, and where we are today. And I'm telling y'all, it has been a roller coaster ride watching how things have transpired so quickly with this family. So with that being said, Miss Denise, do you recall when you started learning about this particular family?
It kind of seems like a while. I can't be for sure, but it seems like at least about a year back, I started hearing about them and they became real viral because she posted a video of they did stay in a one bedroom apartment, and they posted a video of, she said she threw her children's bed out for some reason. So she introduces us to her making a pallet on the floor in her kitchen so that her children can sleep there. And at that time, I believe she had maybe a total of 4 children. So some were sleeping in the kitchen, others were in the living room. And her child's father slept in the bedroom. And, when everybody saw that they slept in this bed that was maybe full or queen size, her husband or boyfriend has a $1,000 gaming system, and people were shocked. They were really mad, and they referred to it as rage bait because who would put something like that on the internet? So that's how I was introduced.
Okay, so to some of y'all who are not aware, and I'm going to be showing clips and images throughout this video so y'all can really know exactly what's going on and what has happened. This is an interracial couple. The woman's name is Stephanie Jenkins. She's a white woman. Prior to her getting with, I don't believe they're married, so it's her boyfriend. He is black. Prior to, and his name is Drew. Yeah. So prior to Stephanie and Drew becoming an item, it has been said that Stephanie was actually married before, and she has 2 children, I believe, by that marriage. Can you share with them what has been circulating and what has, because y'all know YouTube be like having all type of investigators. Can you share what they found out about Stephanie's ex-husband?
Oh, yes. Now, we don't really know if he's her ex-husband. Like, sources say that they're still married. But unfortunately, her ex-husband abused his own mother. It was an SA situation.
Wow.
And so I think she has a past of having troubled relationships.
And he's currently still in jail, correct? Yeah. Now, I don't want to just slide through that. I want y'all to actually understand what she just said. Stephanie's ex-husband or still husband, who is still serving time in jail, who she has 2 little girls by, He was arrested for sexually abusing his own mother. Yeah, I already can see y'all's faces, mouth dropped, eyes wide. I'm like, when I found this out, I was like, oh my gosh.
She was with her husband,
Okay.
and because he's a registered bad guy, we all thought he was grooming. So we finally got a CPS worker to go there, and I was in California making these calls up to Washington, and of course they're asking me, how do you know this? How do you know what's going on? And I said, look, I know what's going on. I've been there a couple times, and I'm telling you, this is what's happening. So the CPS worker went, and she found enough proof that she told Stephanie, you either pack yourself up and leave, or we are going to take the kids into custody.
Okay, guys, so I have some tea. Okay, I have tea. Y'all know about Miss Stephanie Jenkins, right? Okay, so y'all know how her actual husband, her legal husband, is in prison right now for essing his mother and a child. I don't know if there's any other victims. I don't know the ages, but I do know that he had essayed a child and his own mother. Disgusting. Anywho, so she gave us some tea, okay, and it was piping hot. Stephanie's mother said in her life that when Stephanie, and her husband, they had the kids and everything, right? CPS got involved. And prior to CPS getting involved, Stephanie's mom was saying, like, you need to leave this man. Like, he is not safe for you and the children. Like, you guys deserve better. You need to leave him. And she refused. Okay? Stephanie's mother, renewing, calls CPS, lets them know what's going on, tells him all about the things that he's been doing, all the weird shit he's been doing, okay? And she's like, she don't want to leave him. She don't want to leave. And they were like, if you don't leave him, we will take away your children. And so that is when she then was like, fine, I'll leave, so that way you don't take away my children. And that's when she moved in with her mom. And yeah, okay, the rest is history. We know what happens after that, right? But you all know how she always talks about how she has like issues with her mom and all this shit. This has to be why. She didn't like her mom because her mom called CPS and said, yo, my daughter's with this guy that has been doing some stuff, okay? And allegedly, according to Stephanie's mom, there was traffic. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's with the kids, their kids, or what, but there was some traffic, if you catch my drift, okay? But yeah, and it just really makes me think that she really does choose men over her children. And the fact that she would not leave her husband until it was like, no, you have to, or we will take your kids away, I think goes along with the pattern that unless there is a real need to leave the man that she's with, like a legal reason, like her kids potentially getting taken away, I don't think she will. I think she would ride with her man regardless of what he does or doesn't do.
But you guys, it just continues to get worse. So fast forward, there was a period of time before Stephanie and Drew got together where Stephanie was staying with her mom. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand the relationship between Stephanie and her mother?
It seems a bit complicated. Now, Stephanie did make a video where she alluded to just not having a great relationship with her mom before she got with Drew. She didn't go into great detail, but, again, she just let us know the relationship was not good. Now, her mother's side of the story, she pretty much said that Stephanie did not, because she was with Drew and the way that Drew has control over her, the way he has her living, she did not want her mom's input. She didn't want her mom's help. So as a result of that, she disconnected the relationship with her mom and her family. So Stephanie says the only relationship that she has is with her brother.
Mm. So do Stephanie have any other siblings besides the brother?
Yeah. She has a sister as well. Now, I'm not sure how many siblings she has, but she has mentioned her sister, who she doesn't talk to anymore. But her brother, she said, they still talk.
You have 5 children, correct?
Six.
But you have good relationships with all of your other kids.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And my other daughters, Both of my daughters are the only ones who have kids. My boys don't want to have kids, basically because of their father. They're like, we don't want to repeat his mistakes. So my boys, I don't think will ever have kids. But both of my daughters are the ones who have babies. So my other daughter, I have those grandbabies with me every other weekend. So again, I'm like, I don't know what Stephanie's worried about. If her sister trusts me with her kids, but
That's the sister that she's close with, correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they share the same birthday. They're both Valentine's Day babies, 2 years apart.
So they were asking, like, does Stephanie talk to any? Does she only talk to her now, or is she talking to all of her siblings?
So we agreed. We have a family chat where everybody's in it except for Stephanie. She removed herself last year. And we talk, and I have made it very clear to them that I do not want to be the reason they don't talk with Stephanie, so we don't talk. If they've talked with Stephanie, I don't know about it. We don't talk about it at all.
Right.
I don't want them to feel like they have to keep something from me, so we just made it clear, it's fine. You have your relationship with Stephanie. I want her to have them, and so I don't really know if they do or not.
Now, Drew, I don't know when they got together, but Drew actually has 2 other baby mothers. So he has a total of 3 baby mothers. Now, his first baby mother name is Arlita. She was someone that, he dated back when they were very young. They have a child together. I believe they have a son that is 12 years old. I believe that's correct. And Arlita has definitely been coming out saying a whole lot about the situation that she has been having over the years with Drew. So we're going to get into that a little later as well. The second baby mother name is, what is her name again?
Desiree.
Desiree. Now, the child that they have together, his name is Deshaun.
Mm-hmm.
It seems as if Drew has had custody of this little boy for a very long time. And apparently, is it true that Desiree has not had custody of this little boy since he was 5?
Yes, it's been a long time.
But, so Desiree, do you know what her background is?
Well, I do know that she has a background with addiction. They did mention alcohol. I believe I heard that there was also some drug use in her past as well, but I'm not sure exactly what drug that was.
Okay. So here it is. You have the second baby mother who has had this situation, and Drew pretty much took custody of their son together. Now, fast forward, Drew ended up also, I did see where Drew also had some battles with drug addiction as well. Is that correct?
He actually, from what people say, and I believe they were old Facebook posts actually from his Facebook or Stephanie's Facebook, they met each other in a rehab.
Oh.
There's that. And also, according to Drew himself on Facebook, he was homeless for a while. Him and his son was homeless. So he was able to get assistance because he had Deshaun.
Okay.
And so the initial apartment that they were staying in, the 1-bedroom, that was actually the apartment that was given to him and Deshaun. And Stephanie moved in with her children.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So they actually hooked up at a drug
Yes.
rehab.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward. Now her and Drew have a child. They have a son together, and they just had a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
And the son has to be maybe 2-3 years old.
Yeah.
And they just had the little girl. So she's like a few months old?
Few months old.
So this is where I kind of started watching the viral video that went on with her, like showing her cleaning her 1-bedroom apartment, if you want to call it apartment, because it's very small. You could see bunk beds in the kitchen.
Those bunk beds were donated from the viewers because initially they just had a pallet on the floor. So people wanted to help her initially, so they sent the bunk beds. Now, she did not put the legs on the bunk beds, so she kind of still had the one sleeping on the floor pallet inside of the bunk bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What I found was so crazy too was the fact that here it is, you have 3 children. She just had her baby, and they're all sleeping in the living room / kitchen. Now, the living room is like right there. Like you walk in through their front door and you got the kids right there. I was very much cringe with that because as a parent, you want to make sure your kids are protected at all times. Anything can happen. For them to be that close to the front door, that was very problematic for me. But secondly, for Stephanie and Drew to have their own bedroom, sleeping in their nice, comfortable bed, and Drew had this PlayStation PS5 set up with the LED light streamed all, like they had their room decked out with the big screen TV, and the kids were sleeping on the floor. I thought that was so crazy, and the way she was filming, you would have thought it was just normal. And I started going back to the beginning of her videos. She was so desperate to take off on TikTok. You could see in her videos the conversation she was having. She was very desperate to get traction because she really wanted to make money off of social media. She was complaining a lot, like, you know, I'm doing all these videos, nobody's watching my videos. And then all of a sudden that video went viral, and it seems like it's just been going crazy.
I cannot be the only one that feels this way, because tell me why trying to post a viral video on here feels like screaming for help in the middle of a death metal concert. Like, yo, see me, put me in the fucking algorithm. I'm here, I'm posting daily, I'm doing everything I possibly can to make edits and make more appealing videos that people will want to see. So, what the give me a breakthrough, TikTok. Just fucking post my shit on people's For You page, please. In my 3 years of posting, I've only had one video that was about to go viral. In like 2 minutes of posting it, I had 65 comments. But it was so nasty, and I wasn't in a mental place to handle all that hate yet. Now come at me. Put all the hate you want in my comments. Whatever, as long as it's pushing the algorithm. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for the hate. Because apparently that's how you grow. I can't credit. Like, it's way harder to become successful content creating than I even thought. I don't even know what I'm doing wrong. I study other people's videos, and I'm like, bro, I got the lighting. I mean, I try to get the angles. I have the cutie patootie pies in the videos. I mean, what is it, Alice? What is it? I know TikTok has been sharing to my region or whatever, and I mean, that does make sense because these neighbors are going to be hating anyways. And if they hate on the video, it's not going to go any further. So I get that, but the algorithm, the math ain't mathin', bro. I'm putting work into this content, and it's not going anywhere. TikTok told me to make a video that's at least a minute long. So here I go, making a minute-long rambling video, and no one's going to watch more than 3 seconds anyway, so what is the point of that, TikTok?
Looking back to how she initially came on here and started, you know, her TikTok, wanting to be popular, wanting to get this fame, and now seeing where she's at, how would you explain that?
I kind of feel like she did want to become, you know, like you said, viral. She expressed that even when she was on Facebook before all of this happened. I honestly believe that she accidentally went viral. I don't think she knew that she was going to go viral for showing the situation of the kids sleeping like they did. But when she did go viral for that situation, it seems like she continued to go into that direction, and I think that's why she got classified as rage bait, because you know that you are enraging people, and you continue to post this content because you know it's going to drive traffic.
Yeah. I know some people has had issue with her being a white woman, and she uses the N-word a lot. She would use the N-word. It was just some of the things that she would say that was very triggering to Black people. But I want to really get into the heart of where we are. So all of this kind of came about with Deshaun. It seems like, well, I can't even start there because there have been people doing commentary on TikTok in regards to just how she's really been kind of mistreating Deshaun. Can you speak more on that?
He was not treated fairly. Like, for instance, if you look at some of her earlier videos, she had Amazon wish lists, that people could go purchase things for her children, and they did. She had absolutely nothing on that list for Deshaun. And so in one of her videos, somebody slowed down the camera to show Deshaun's shoes, and they were obviously his father's old shoes. Like, they were way too big for him. They were unwearable, and she did not put any shoes on that list for Deshaun at all. She would throw birthday parties, and some were recent. His birthday parties were not as extravagant as her daughter's, birthday parties. So she showed a lot of favoritism for her kids, and I don't think that she was aware that the viewers would pick it up, but they did.
I also heard that there was some allegations of physical abuse towards the little boy. Apparently, the little boy was found to have a black eye. Can you talk a little bit on that as well?
Well, I'll be, truthful. I didn't really read much into that one, so I'm not very aware of that one. I did hear the allegation, and but I cannot go into detail because I didn't follow it closely.
Okay. But it seems like those allegations started circulating, and that's what prompted Deshaun's mother to kind of come to the forefront. There is a small community of people that is trying to assist Deshaun's mother in trying to regain custody.
So, Desiree actually had sole custody of Deshaun until about 2020 when she decided that she was going to go to rehab. So, she allowed Deshaun to stay with Drew, but the agreement was when she got out of rehab, she would get Deshaun back. And Drew, he just went off the grid, much like he did with his first baby mama, Arlita. So, no one could find him. Deshaun has to get out of that household where that lady, A, gives him black eyes, and B, refers to him as damaged jeans.
They found out that this woman was behind on rent. Can you share any information that you may know on that situation?
I believe they were more than $2,000, and they owed more than $2,000 in back rent. And, I didn't really understand it because if you look at her channel, most of her videos are viral. And people that have large audiences, such as Stephanie, calculated what she would make in a month. And in some cases, it was around $20K.
Wow.
I think people were kind of speculating, what was going on with her money spending habits. They kind of speculated if they were back on drugs. Nobody knew what to make of it because there's no possible way that you can make that much money on YouTube and not, pay the rent. Now, initially with Drew, what they were saying is that his rent was actually much more affordable when it was just him and Deshaun. But because she moved in with her children, they raised the rent and they just refused to pay it, apparently.
Now, Drew is a very interesting character because he definitely gives deadbeat energy, like deadbeat father, deadbeat man as a whole. He is just a deadbeat. He does not want to work. He is adamant in not wanting to work. He has pretty much ran from child support. I think when I first started seeing them, he was doing some type of delivery, maybe like some DoorDash or something, because I remember they were doing it together. But it seems like once the money started filtering in through what they were making on TikTok, you just didn't see him doing anything. And a lot of the videos that, Stephanie would make where she's showing herself cooking, cleaning, taking care of the kids, he was nowhere to be found. A lot of time he was just glued to the TV with his little headphones on and his controller in his hand playing the game. And, people also started calling him out on that. Like, why and even when she was pregnant with their first child, she was doing a lot of cleaning, lifting, and he was just chilling, playing on the game.
I felt like she just really lacked self-awareness. Like, she didn't have identity and she had very low self-esteem. That is what I took from that, because I couldn't understand why she would lower herself to move, because she actually, if I'm not mistaken, she had a background in nursing. So I couldn't understand, why would you move your children into this one bedroom apartment with this man who doesn't have any ambition and proceed to, there's so much, because again, she proceeds to just do everything, and one thing again I like about Stephanie, she's very clean. She's very thorough in the way she cleans, the way she cooks, and I could tell that she was trying to make him happy and make him see her, that she loved him, because she was trying to give him the love that she wanted him to give her. And that is kind of what made me really sad for her, because I knew that this man was using her and that she was never going to get what she was looking for from him.
Yeah, that was one of the things too that I like. I mean, if she just came on, and I hate to say it because I think in a lot of ways it is a good thing that she did kind of expose her life, so that her children could be helped. But on the flip side of that, she would have been better off just coming on social media showing her cooking, because I definitely will give it to her. That girl will cook. She definitely cooks. But it's very unfortunate, like I said, to see how all of this transpired. And, it's a true thing, be careful what you wish for. Because this whole time she was wishing to get, famous on TikTok. And like you said, she didn't expect it to come in this manner. We look at, she got evicted, or they got evicted from the apartment, and they've been going from motel to motel. And you see, she's literally cutting the camera on and she's showing how they are living in this motel, situation. Apparently, I don't know if this is how all motels are set up, but I think they're only able to stay in each motel for 28 days and then they have to relocate. That's a lot. And you have, what is it, 5 children now? That's pretty wild. So fast forward. Now the situation is, because Deshaun there's been a lot of spotlight put on him with the allegations of him allegedly having a black eye. They're saying that Stephanie was the one who did that to him. You see the mistreatment, just the unfair treatment of how she is with Deshaun, who is a black little boy, cute little thing too, versus, her 2 white daughters. And then now you have a biracial son and a biracial daughter that's just been born. And apparently she just had that little girl, and they said she had the little girl in the car. Yeah. They were on their way to the hospital, and I guess, she came. I can't even imagine that situation.
And but she left the hospital, I don't even know, it was maybe 6 hours later. Like, she left immediately after having the baby.
And she made her memorable entrance in the car, just minutes away from the hospital. I knew going into labor I wanted to do things as natural as possible. I wanted to stay home for as much of the labor as I could. And that's exactly what ended up happening. We headed to the hospital, didn't quite make it there when she was born in the car. I really didn't want to spend very much time at the hospital. I wanted to get home to my other kiddos, especially my toddler. I haven't spent any time away from him, so being away from him at night would just be weird. But I did spend I think 8 hours in the hospital and then went back home that same night. I did try to eat something while I was so used to my own cooking. I honestly couldn't wait to get back home and just get back in the kitchen to make something. The kids' reaction to meeting their sister was absolutely priceless. All of their faces lit up and they all made sure to go run their hands under warm water and kept rubbing their hands together to keep their hands warm to hold her. It was the sweetest thing ever. I mean, look at their faces. Like I knew she would, this girl instantly stole her daddy's heart. I mean, let's be real, she stole everybody's heart in this home instantly. I love that she decided to come on the weekend too, so her siblings got a couple days to stay home from school and get to spend some time with her. We're all just soaking in the baby cuddles, settling into our new routine of a family of 7.
What do you think? Do you think she was afraid that CPS may try to step in?
Well, people were saying that she did it because she didn't want them to find drugs in the baby's system.
Oh.
That's why they say she did it.
So that was another thing. It was alleged that Stephanie was coming on the camera looking high while she was pregnant.
Now, she admitted on her Facebook in her previous pregnancies with her first children that are not by Drew that she was getting high while she was pregnant with them. She posted that on Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord. I tell you, it's like digging into this family is literally going down a rabbit hole. Because there was supposed to have been visitation rights that was awarded to Deshaun's mother. Mm-hmm. And they were scheduled to go to court. And Deshaun I'm sorry, Drew was a no-show.
Yeah, that is true. Well, no, he actually did go to court, but what he did not do is adhere to the judge telling him to set up a schedule so
Oh.
that he can start seeing his mom. So, and they also ordered him to not show Deshaun on their channel anymore. And Stephanie also violated that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So they did go to court, and the judge said that Drew had to set up some type of visitation schedule for Deshaun and his mother. And they did not do that.
They did not do it. And now people are saying, because they had a gap in posting. Now she posts daily, but after that ruling, she had a gap in posting, and so people were assuming that they may have tried to go on the run as a result.
Wow.
Because without Deshaun, he really doesn't have an income, and he does not receive sympathy from the state that would give him a place to live, give him a check.
That is horrible.
Yeah.
People are starting to think that they're bolting and running because they have not posted, and she was just saying how she was hacked and that there was a bunch of cars coming in and out of the motel. And Deshaun's mom just got her visitation rights with Deshaun. And we all know that Stephanie hates it because she has no part in it. No say, no part, nothing. And so everybody's thinking that they're moving again or going somewhere because they were talking about moving. And just a couple months ago, I do remember telling you guys that they were talking about moving states. So let's not be surprised if they actually do this because they've been talking about it. Now, as far as moving when Deshaun just got visitation with his mom, I don't know how that works. I don't know what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. But if legally they can, that's still a shitty thing to do because he just got visitation with his mom.
You know, I think people say a lot about Stephanie. They put a lot of attention on Stephanie, but they don't see a man who allowed her to give his son a black eye. They don't see a man who allowed his son to walk around in his old shoes while everybody else was on the wish list. This guy watched her put bunk beds on a list for her kids and give them to her kids while Deshaun still slept on the floor. You know, like the mistreatment of him was very obvious, and it's been called out multiple times, but he never did anything to change it. In my opinion, I feel like he looks at Deshaun as a check, you know, as a kid that's going to keep a roof over his head for 18 years. And that's the reason why he doesn't want to give him back to Desiree. He doesn't want. Now, people were saying, and, you know, I think Drew talked about it on his channel. He has a channel too.
I thought,
You know, the children went to the splash pad, you know, including Deshaun, but he was watching the young, not the youngest baby, but the toddler. He was supposed to be with his mom on that day. So people assumed that they were trying to make him have fun so that he wouldn't want to go to his mom. So these are the type of games that Drew is playing.
so do you think Drew is detached solely from Deshaun, or do you think he's detached even from the children he's had with Stephanie?
Oh, of course. Like, I really feel that he is detached from all the children.
Okay.
When he is interacting, because people complain so much, you know, they said every time we see him, he's glued to the game. He has on his headset. They said he works a 9 to PS5. And so he was becoming very annoyed by the remarks. So he started showing up cleaning in her videos, interacting with the kids. And it looked very weird, you know, when he was interacting with his toddler that he has with Stephanie. It seemed like it was something that he'd never done before. And it seemed like his kid was pretty surprised that he was interacting with him.
That is a mess. That is a mess.
That's what it looked like to me.
Oh,
So
wow.
I could just tell that this was a very awkward situation. And he pretty much, in my opinion, seemed like he just doesn't mind having kids because he knows that it's going to bring more viewers to the channel. He knows that Stephanie is going to continue to take care of him because she seems to be so stunted in her growth mentally and emotionally. So I feel like he really just brainwashes her because she literally came on video with her previous toddler saying that he was, I guess, sort of special because the black blood in him was stronger than white blood or something like that. And I knew when I heard that, I said, this guy has been brainwashing her. Like, this is why he has her there, because she's very easy to brainwash.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm like stuck. Oh my gosh.
She said that, and she's repeated it multiple times. So I know this is why people are enraged, black and white, because regardless of how he may feel, you have white children too.
Yeah.
So how do you think your white children feel when they hear their mom say something like that?
Because when she first came on TikTok, and I'm not trying to be funny, but when she first started TikTok, I swear it looked like that girl done aged about 10 years.
Really did age because her life has gone through so many, different changes being with him. And of course, because of the feedback that she's getting from the internet, I think that is really wearing on her.
I did see where Arlita was speaking about her court case that she had with Drew, where she's trying to get, child support. She said that the judge awarded for her to get child support. He has to pay, I think it was either 10 or 20% of the back rear's child support. And she said in the process of her doing this, she found out that he actually has a warrant out for him.
Oh, wow.
He had a warrant out, I think, since 2019, if I'm not mistaken. I saw that.
Drew Jenkins was just served for being in contempt of court for not paying his child support. And the reason that he was able to be served was because Stephanie posted their location online. Arlita is the mother of Drew's 12-year-old son that he hasn't seen in 7 years. She made a video saying that she watches the Resilient Jenkins TikToks and was able to figure out where they were staying from their videos. She then sent their location to her caseworker, and the sheriff confirmed that he had been served and has court on April the 7th at the Multnomah County Courthouse. Arlita said that Drew has been in contempt of court since February, but that she didn't know where he lived to have him served, and that if Stephanie had not given away her location in their videos, the process to get him served would not have been as quick as it was. Arlita also says that she knows Stephanie is mad about this, and that she could see the stress on her face in the last few videos. Arlita says that Drew has not seen her 12-year-old son since he was 5 years old, and that she has never received consistent child support payments from him.
They made it clear social media is not going to cut it. Like, they're not counting that as a job. He has to actually get a job. Mm-hmm. So I do find it interesting that with all of this transpiring now, it's been said, and I don't know how true it is, but it's been said that they are trying to move to another state.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
I did hear about that. And it really seems plausible in my opinion, because I think Drew has worked harder trying not to work than he would if he actually went and got a job.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, I know there are some lazy bum men out here, like just trifling. But what do you think why is he so adamant in not wanting to get a job?
I have really struggled with this, trying to figure it out in my mind, and I really don't understand it. Like, some people just don't have any ambition, and he just seems to be one of those people. Like, and I think we all understand behind people like that, there has to be a lot of trauma. Drug usage in his past and whatnot, like there has to be a lot of trauma, but I'm not sure why he chooses to deal with the trauma this way. And I think also, of course, he has to be stunted in his growth emotionally and mentally too, not to feel like he should work to provide for his family. And again, I feel like, the only reason why he has Deshaun is because that is his way of having a roof over his head. So, I really couldn't say honestly why he would be, lack ambition. It is very puzzling to me too.
Yeah. You had said to me that just following this story, it seems to you that Stephanie has gotten darker as you watch the progression of what's coming out. What made you say that?
Well, I think initially she just seemed like she was filming how she goes about her daily life, which is normal. But, she posted a video and it captioned while she was cooking, "If I don't cook breakfast exactly like what he likes, then he'll find a way to blame me and the children." Mm. And so I think honestly what it came to me is that he is jealous because she is making an income.
Wow.
She has more, and he knows that if she really wants to, she can move on without him. And I think he's a bit jealous of it. And I think that he kind of started treating her a little differently because of this, infamous, but is what she is. I think he started, getting a little jealous of it and started treating her a different kind of way because of it. And I think I just started to see it wear on her. And that's along with all of the negative commentary that she was receiving from other people, and also the viewers that were commenting, leaving a lot of negative, comments towards her.
I definitely see that there is some mental and emotional abuse that she's going through with him, because I do remember watching a video that she did, and she was speaking a lot about how she didn't feel like she was pretty. She just really was kind of downing her looks. And I'm like, wow, a woman is not going to keep saying that unless somebody is constantly feeding that into her. And I feel he says those things to her. But do you think there is physical abuse possibly going on?
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could see it because, she is totally worn down, and you can tell that it's bigger than, the internet audience that are saying various things about her and her parenting. And if you look at her older pictures, her mom posted pictures of Stephanie, beautiful. She would have on makeup. It wasn't a lot of makeup, but she was just beautiful. She was a naturally beautiful girl. Now, when you see her, she is always in not mommy mode, but maid mode. And I think that there is a huge difference, but she's always, I don't think she has time to keep up with herself because she's so busy trying to please him, do content, and be a mom. So I think, that there has to be abuse going on. And even if it's not physically, it is definitely there mentally. Because when she looks so tired, and I know that look, that's from being worn out mentally.
Yeah, she definitely looks very worn out.
And I know that it's dysfunctional because, again, if we're seeing dysfunction on the camera, then I can imagine what's going on outside of the camera. Like when Google Images caught a picture of her toddler being outside alone in front of the motel, I think that kind of gave me a deeper picture of the type of dysfunction that goes on in that house.
Yeah. I mean, when you told me that and I watched the video, I was just like, this is so problematic, because the way kids are coming up missing left and right, and you just let a 2-year-old just out there wandering around by himself, that is insane.
I mean, like that, it should never happen. Like when you're in a space like that, you should be more cautious. Like, why would the door be wide open? If you need fresh air, open the window. But to know that you have a toddler that can just sneak out. And, again, for me, Google Images seems to be pretty random. Anytime that I would look up my house on Google Images, they probably took photos like once a year or something, maybe twice. So how often was he outside for Google Images to be able to catch that?
That's a great question.
That disturbed me about it.
That's a very great question.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, being outside, apparently she discarded, was it 2 of her cats?
Oh, yes.
When they moved?
Yeah.
And I was trying my hardest not to laugh when you told me this, but the way people be looking for opportunities to come up, you literally had somebody create a whole channel dedicated to the cats that this girl discarded. They done found the cats. They done homed the cats. They taken care of the cats. I mean, it's like, wow. Yeah. But what did you find out about that situation?
I mean, I think I'm just like, I don't know if karma is just really knocking at her door or what, but she literally filmed herself throwing out the cat's, house and all of the food, everything that she had to take care of the cats. She filmed herself throwing it away. Now, after that, people noticed that her cats weren't there. I'm not sure if she filmed it or what, but they were like, oh my God, did she kicked her cats out. And so while she's filming content, the cat runs back in the house days after that she kicked out. And then they're literally on film throwing the cat back out of the house. So I think it angered people. And so, like you said, people will clout chase. Somebody on TikTok went and found her cat.
Oh my gosh. I cannot.
She started a channel and it's called Milo's Journey, just in case anybody wants to check it out. Now, when she found poor Milo, he was not an outdoor cat. So he had got tore up being outside. Wow. His half of his hair was missing. So this person took Milo to the vet. They fixed him up, rehomed him. Well, he lives with that person, and they're growing his hair back. Now, they literally were outraged on the internet. So they called animal control on her, whoever the animal people are, to try to get charges against her. And Stephanie became very enraged because this Milo's Journey person started to get a lot of views based off of her throwing her cat out. So Stephanie in turn really, she said on video that she wanted to get her cat back. Now, mind you, with all that being said, neighbors that actually lived in the apartment that they were evicted from started speaking as well. And other people were looking for the other cat, but I don't think they were able to find the other cat.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, shout out to the person who had a heart to take care of the cat. I'm not laughing at that. It's just, it's so wild to see the depths of how, far a person will go just to, get some type of notoriety on social media. Wow. But I didn't know why would she film that? Like, that is crazy. Why would she film her literally kicking the cats out the house? Like,
and I think this is why people have reduced her channel to being rage bait, because like, what possible reason would you film that, right? But something in me kind of tells me that she didn't know that there was anything wrong with it, because that is what she's used to.
Yeah.
That's normal to her.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah.
That does. Because, even when she was in the 1-bedroom apartment and, she would, move the beds out of the kitchen and she would mop the floors, mop the walls. Like, she thought she was really doing her big one, not really knowing that this was not a normal type situation until people started commenting and like kind of dragging her for it. Now, I will say she is a very clean person, but I just have a problem with you're trying to be clean on one hand, but you got a lot of clutter on the other. Like, clean and clutter just don't go together. And maybe that's just because they don't have a lot of space. I can understand that. But looking at where we are today because it's so much, like, we're really trying to speed through this story because it's definitely a lot to unpeel. Where do you see this going? Because not only do you see people like trying to help, Deshaun's mother get back custody of Deshaun. Now you see Arlita, the first baby mama, really coming after Drew herself for not paying child support for their son. Where do you see all this going? Even with the warrant that we're now finding out that Drew has, him being mandated to work, like literally have to get a job. And she did say if he does not get a job and start paying, he will go to jail. So where do you see this going?
I mean, honestly, I don't see this ending well. I think he's going to be held accountable, whether it's him going to jail for evading court orders or his, having a warrant. I think he's going to get caught up eventually. And with Stephanie, I honestly feel that she's going to hang in there until she can't anymore. And I believe that when she spends so much of herself, away trying to be whatever he wants her to be and clean up his mess, I really believe in the end she's going to end up leaving him because she's not going to have a choice. I mean, when you are mature, not, very immature in your thinking, and I don't even like to just say that, really. I'm just saying somebody who hasn't had the mothering that she needs, who hasn't had doesn't have the self-esteem that's needed. Sometimes you get in situations like these to where you literally have to come to the end of yourself before you understand, I have to pick myself up, I have to move on. And I really believe that's what is going to happen to her. But I think, unfortunately, she's going to be left with a lot of mess. There's no telling how many more children is going to come out of this union. I don't know what else she's going to have to go through to get to that point. But I honestly do not see her and Drew lasting at all.
Yeah, I think in her, and I hate to say this, I think she would possibly get her strength to walk away once he goes to jail. Yeah. I think that's really going to be where it's going to click for her. Like, okay, I got to do something. It definitely seems like there is a strong hold that he has over her. And it's very unfortunate to see just how far of a decline she has gone, because you said too that her mother even recently had let it be known that she was willing to allow Stephanie to come back with all the kids, including Deshaun,
He said
if
that.
she would just leave Drew.
He said that. She said Drew is not welcome at her house. And I understand what her mother is saying. Again, I can't say what the relationship is between her and her mother and what happened. But for her mom to open up the door to her children, including Deshaun, who is not her biological grandchild, there has to be something in her that wants to see her daughter do better than what she's doing. My heart just breaks for her. I know a lot of people are angry at Stephanie, and there are a lot of things that she does that angers me as well, because I don't like to see women have children and keep having children that you are not ready to take care of. She seems like she is in a very selfish era in her life. And in my opinion, I'm just like, okay, when you are in a place like this, go give your kids to your mother. Give your kids to some, if they could be a family member that are going to do right by your kids. But by all means, do not drag your children into your mistakes where they're having to suffer. Because when I see her kids living in that hotel room, I remember she recently filmed a live, and her daughter's, saying she just wants to be close to her mom. She's like, I won't come in your video. I just want to come over here with you. And then Stephanie she was so annoyed. She just kind of went off on her daughter on live. And so I'm looking and I'm like, her daughters, they're old enough to observe that this situation is not healthy, that it is toxic. They're craving your love and your attention, but you can't even be present for yourself right now because you're giving everything to some man who does not care about you. So again, I just hate to see her children have to suffer because she chooses to be in a situation that's not healthy. I just feel like she should have just given her children to her mom if she was going to be so selfish.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you feel she loves her children?
I think she loves her children as much as she knows how to love her children. But when you don't know how to love yourself, then you're going to have a hard time loving your children. That's how I feel about Stephanie.
I think the common theme that I'm finding with a lot of these women in this mommy sector, and, Stephanie definitely fits into this mommy sector for sure. But the common theme I see, there is so much lacking in them as adult women because they did not have a solid foundation when it came to their mothers.
Yes.
That is,
and not to mention that we don't know anything about her father.
And I was going to ask you about that too. There's definitely a lot unfolding. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a lot. And I'm basically going to incorporate a lot more of this story on my channel, because I think, like I said, there are some people who are very much aware of this family, but there are some people who are not aware. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to bring awareness, because it's not so much about gossiping about, oh my gosh, did you see what this girl did? It's like you're bringing awareness to the community as a whole. Like, look, something is not right here as to why we keep seeing this be a common theme. Like, she's not the only family that we're seeing on TikTok where this is what we're seeing. And we have to ask the question, what is going on in this generation to where this is the norm that we're seeing? Like, this is actually considered the norm. And it's very tragic because there's a lot of children being raised, and I can't even say raised, they're being brought up in these type of households that is full of dysfunction and toxicity, and it's shaping them to become the same. And something has to be said. Like, it can't just be we're picking these people apart and we're, pointing fingers like, I can't believe this is happening. How are we going to change the conversation to try to help stop this? Because this is not okay. And I think you said something very profound. People question, how is it that a mother can do certain things to their children? I don't think it's always a situation of these mothers hate their kids. I think they just don't have the capacity to love their children the way these kids deserve to be loved. You can't give what you don't have. And it's a generational curse that just keeps going through these never ending cycles, and somebody got to break it. Somebody has to break these cycles.
Agree with you so much. You know, when it comes down to people like Stephanie, my heart is always with the children, because in a perfect world, we would, you know, wait until we were older, we would deal with our trauma, you know, and we would go through all these steps before we even considered having children. But unfortunately, people don't know anything about that. Some people don't know anything about healing trauma, how to heal trauma. Some of them don't even know there's anything wrong with them until people put a spotlight on them. And unfortunately for Stephanie Jenkins, all of the help is there. You know, people are giving her help from the comments. They're saying, I think you should do this. I can see that you need help, that you're being abused, but she's not at that stage where she's ready to receive it. So again, like you stated, it's just an unfortunate situation. Seeing that she's another parent that is in that cycle, my prayers are with her children, hoping that they would break the cycle.